Hello, hello. I'm Ben Pick, and thank you for joining me in Writing to Write, where I used to give questionable writing advice through writing metaphors, but have since switched over to hosting productivity sprints. That's so that I can finish the fourth novel in my ongoing series, Into the Void, as I feel like I've fallen way behind on every goal I kind of set for myself. It's been 3+ years, I think, more or less, and I don't know. Time is relative. And I still haven't published it yet. I got the copy edits back from my copy editor. And so I am going to work on those. And actually, I can check this out because I started writing the fourth novel after my third one. So this is February 2024. Okay, so we are only at 2 years. I'll probably be at 3 before the one gets published. There we go. Anyways, thank you, sweetie. I appreciate that, Adriana. And hey, Richard. Hey, Adriana. How's it going? Glad you're all here. And yes, copy edits. Fun. I am in chapter 16. So my goal is to do a complete run through of all the edits. Do a complete run through and adjust the manuscript based on all those edits. And then I'm going to do another complete run through just to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Or in fixing something, I didn't make things more difficult elsewhere. And then I will try and get both cover design and set up for the proofreader. And then in theory, well, I'm going to do another iteration after that at least. But in theory, this book will be ready to go then. Whew. Also, let's see, you got in from work, and within an hour, you got in 600 words. Awesome. That is great. That's perfect. So you were feeling really productive after a work day, and you got in 600 words. That is a lot in an hour, I think. Yeah, plain and simple. Way to go. Let's see. As far as things go, this has been a pretty relaxing week. I don't feel like I did a whole lot on Saturday. What am I forgetting? What did I do on Saturday? Oh, right. We took the dog to the park. This is the first time he's been back to the park in a really long time. And oh boy, was it hot. We only stayed there for about 30 minutes. There was a German Shepherd who was larger than him and looked like he was about to mount Boone. And the owner was very, very aware. He every time, he was making sure that nothing bad happened, because as soon as that dog really started, they would go back sniffing each other, and then they would start playing, and then the dog would try and mount. He would do the pre-mounting thing where he whatever. It's hard to describe, but you know it when you see it. And the first time he did, Boone kind of didn't snap at him, but he looked like it was about to be an issue. And because we are very attentive to make sure that our dog isn't getting reactive tendencies, we were trying to pull him away, but yet Boone keeps going back to that bigger dog because I don't know, he's weird sometimes. He keeps going back when dogs are being rougher and rougher with him, and it's definitely going to lead to some kind of issue if we're not careful. So that is something that I want to address. But Boone was great. Yeah. The other, whenever that other dog sort of wandered off, Boone sort of tried to follow after him, which is weird. And yeah, there was this other 150-pound bulldog that was the nicest thing ever, but Boone would just start barking at him because he had some he was not neutered, and Boone likes barking at not neutered dogs. So Boone was picking a fight with a dog 2 to 3 times the size, and every time it happened, we would just pull him away and make sure they wouldn't harass this significantly larger dog. And so it's the same thing here. There were these plenty of dogs that were his size or maybe a little bit smaller because he's a pretty big dog. And he wanted none of that. He wanted to go for the German Shepherd because, he wanted to start shit. But everything aside from that was pretty good. Oh, also I beat Super Mario Bros. 3, which is something I'd never done before. Awesome. As a kid, I remember having the old NES system, which I think my parents sold when I might have been like 9. So I remember being a 5 to 8 year old and playing that game nonstop and just getting stuck at World 5 because I could never beat the sky part of World 5. I could get up there, and then there was just 1 or 2 levels that I could never do. And so I got past there, and I just brute forced my way through. It took multiple. I think I'm up to like 3 weeks. I didn't play every night, but I was definitely cheesing some things towards the end. I wasn't, P-wing skip the level mostly, or sorry, I would beat the level, and then if I didn't feel like doing it again, I would sort of P-wing skip it. But I would at least beat the level once, maybe multiple times, before I sort of cheated and went all that. But yeah, it's funny, even without ever playing the final level, I kind of knew the exact way to go. So I knew like there's multiple doors that you need to go through, and you get to a part where if you go the wrong door, then it sets you back. And again, never having played this level, I kind of knew exactly which way to go. That being said, I did definitely use some guides for a couple of levels. The castle in World 8. Um, I was in the right place, but I was doing the wrong thing. There's a part where you can hit a P block to get a door to appear. And what I didn't realize was that there was a second door like one screen away that I didn't see. So I kept going through this level and like not figuring out what I needed to do. And yeah, so I gave up eventually, and then looked at the guide and figured it out. There's a bunch of other levels that were a lot. The way I was doing was a lot harder than is obviously optimal. And so in some cases, I would just sort of watch a guide and figure out how to do it better. But all in all, I did it on my own, which is a plus. Go me. But with that being said, let's get started on actually being productive. So, like I said, I am in chapter 16. Yes, chapter 16, and we'll see how far I can go. This is half an hour. I don't know how many changes I have to go through. I would love to get through 2 chapters at least during this productivity sprint. I'm putting these in so that way I'll know when the sprint ends. But yeah, let's get started, and I will see you all on the other side of 30 minutes. Welcome back, everyone. I finished one chapter and I started on the next for the edits. It's a lot slower going than I would like. That is definitely unfortunate. I would love to be faster at this, but unfortunately, I am not. I vastly overestimated how long it would take me to do all the changes, and each one I need to evaluate, both in terms of how the sentence works, if the sentence feels out of place, if it, I don't like repetition. So if this editor had a whole bunch of tendencies for words that they might use instead, I want to make sure that that doesn't play off of how I want to write certain sentences. Because there's a lot of fixes where I was very intentional in the words that I used to prevent certain crutch words from being thrown in. And the editor has a lot of fixes where technically it would be the right thing to say, this, that, and the other thing, but XYZ. And instead I did this, that, and the other thing, period, XYZ new sentence. So that does create some issues for me to actually think about how I want things to be said and whether or not it actually matters. There's a whole lot of split-second decisions that I'm making as I'm going through this. And as I'm prepping for the next section, I'm also opening up books 1, 2, and 3, so that way I can verify how a specific word should be used if I've used it before. I have my own style guide for the series, and so I want to make sure that the word itself is sidestep. So I don't know if it's sidestep with a hyphen or sidestep with a space in between, because both are technically correct. And I want to make sure that I am keeping things consistent across the series. So I'm going to look in books 1, 2, and 3. In the next productivity sprint, I'm going to look in books 1, 2, and 3 to see if I use the word sidestep, how I used it, and then I'm going to make a note in my series guide. So that's a little fun detail for how I work, how my mind works, and how I want to work through these edits. So let's see here. Hey, Miss Page. Happy Monday. You're trying to streamline some clues for a scavenger hunt. Ooh. Is that a scavenger hunt for listeners or readers of your newsletter for something inside of a book? Or is this just life in general and you're, being a good person, you want to set up a scavenger hunt for some family or something? What are you working on? Let's see here. Then we have Miss Blogger, who is working on your outline for your fiction, fantasy, contemporary paranormal romance with insta-love, forced proximity, and the fated mate tropes. Awesome. Yeah, seems like everybody's kind of doing their own thing tonight. Richard is prepping to write your first newsletter in 4 months. 4 months? No, you sent out a newsletter more recently than that. We're in June now. That might be right. I feel like I got something from you in April, maybe May. Yeah, that seems like about 4 months. Fair enough. Time keeps marching on. Ooh, you sent out your 4th newsletter ever. Awesome. Well, hopefully you're getting a lot of good feedback from it, and that's being well received. Should be working on Yeah, that is always the dilemma, to work on your story or to work on all those overhead things. Speaking about overhead, there we go. all those overhead things like newsletters, marketing, prepping for an in-person event, finding in-person events to go to, submitting those submissions, and following up on taxes after the event. Fun little detail. Balticon, in years past, they sent out this really robust form. They didn't do that this year. If they did, I didn't receive it. I feel like there were a lot of communications which for some reason I didn't receive because there were things which, like I said, there were timelines that I was expecting and I didn't get all the memos, I didn't get all the messages. So I kept asking the person I had as a contact for all these details, and I feel like I was probably a little bit annoying with it. But anyways, the long and short of it was there wasn't, in years past, there was details about how to submit our taxes to the Maryland comptroller, but they didn't do that this year. So I just reached out, called in, and then mailed off the thing last week to pay my taxes for temporary sales license. But sorry, that was all just to say all those overhead tasks take away from our writing time. Long-winded story to give not much. Oh, good. I like encouraging messages from editors. No, Richard, bad. I make fun of you all the time for this, for your color of money, because it's an American-based story written by, I don't know how to. It's published in the UK. Either way, the Color of Money has a U in it, even though it is everything happens in the States. So, and yes, aluminum, not aluminium. We can go back and forth all day about this. Scavenger hunt is your lead magnet. Oh, cool. No. Last newsletter wasn't in February. It couldn't have been. Really? No. Because I feel like the snow had already melted around here before, and I got some from either way. If it's been 4 months, wow. I don't have anything to say for that. Time is weird. Ooh, we did an insanely awesome Doctor Who scavenger hunt for his son when he was a teen. Oh, that sounds so much fun. Yeah, that would be really cool. I look forward to hearing some of those details in your newsletter. Yes. Marketing and taxes are terrible, but what is it? The only thing that's guaranteed in life is death and taxes. No, price. Am I? Oh no, right. I'm confusing your story. Sorry. Price War Color Money was in the UK. It was it Ray of Light that was a US based story. But even then, there were a couple of colors there. I can't remember if you used the UK spelling or the English spelling for those. The 5 different houses and had layers to clues to win the final prize. Oh, awesome. That sounds like a blast. Yes, you're right. I was confused by Ray of Light, which made your head hurt writing that in the US vernacular. Okay, fair enough. Anyways, let's get started on sprint number 2. Hopefully, I'll finish up with the current chapter I'm working on, and then I'll be able to finish a 3rd chapter by the end of the 3rd sprint. So I will see you all in 20 minutes as I go quiet. Well, that went by really quick. I did finish a chapter. I am into the next one and working through some things. Everything is looking good there. Yeah, that's really about it. Also, what did I do? I went with sidestepping. All one word, sidestep. Because luckily, I had this exact same issue in a previous book. Looks like it is book number 3. Book number 3 used the word sidestep, and it was all one word, no hyphen. And I seem to remember having this exact debate before, which means I forgot to put it into the series style guide. But luckily, I didn't use sidestep in the first or second novel. So go me. How was your productivity? Yeah, seriously. I lost track of time too. I was just kind of zoned in. Yeah, how was your sprints? Anybody doing anything fun for the second one, or planning to go all out for the third one? I can stall for maybe a minute or two. Let's see, what did I talk about? Talked about video games. I talked about writing. I talked about my dog. Oh, I mean, I guess we can talk about work since we're pretty far in here. I need to stall for about a minute or two to give you all a second to catch yourselves. Oh, actually, we can talk about note cards, because I finished converting everything from my book 5 brainstorm into these note cards, but I also, over the weekend, added a few more interesting details to the planned ending for book 5 along with the theme. So there might be a good theme I can work with once, or it's an idea for a theme once I map everything out and make sure that it all kind of works with the characters and the plot developments. So that could be very good progress once I get back to plotting out book number 3. And with that in mind, oh, puppy boy. Usual Monday. Yeah, I know. Mondays are lame. You're overthinking the profile characters who created the scavenger hunt. Nice. Pulling everyone with requests for the funniest and worst things that happened on vacation. Ooh. Huh. Well, I'm definitely not telling that one out loud. But there's definitely a reason why I no longer eat McDonald's breakfasts. Let's see here. Funniest and worst thing. Not really good or bad, but more dangerous. So I used to, or my grandparents, they tell us, my grandmother tells me a story every time I go up there. So she's, it's one of her favorites. We used to go to the beach all the time, Ocean City, Maryland, and this is coming as a shock, but my entire family is really stubborn. So we were at the beach, we were at the hotel, and there's like, hey, there's this hurricane coming through. You guys shouldn't be, in Ocean City. You guys stay clear. And so there was my grandparents, my 2 grandparents, my brother, my cousin, and me. And I was a kid at the time. I don't really remember this story, but they each had a vote, and it was a tied vote because my vote obviously didn't count as a kid, and they were split between staying and just going to the beach after the hurricane had hopefully left, or leaving. And because my grandfather was the one driving, his vote meant more, and so they drove across. There's like this bridge, because Ocean City is kind of a peninsula for most of it until you get to the end. But the quickest way to get back is a bridge to the mainland. And as he was driving across the bridge on the bay side, the water had risen up, and so it was definitely dangerous to drive across it. And like he was one of the last cars that got through, and then he sped back to where we were living in Maryland after that. But fun, dangerous times. And let's see here. Yeah, that's also pretty gross. They lost our luggage. We actually like saw it happening too. We barely got our connecting flight. We had to run through the airport, and we I think we actually saw our luggage outside, and we're like, well, that's clearly not getting onto this plane. And they managed to hold the gates open for us, and we arrived. Luckily, well, I mean, it was definitely unfortunate we didn't have our luggage, but our luggage had our scuba gear in it, and luckily it arrived like the morning we were or I guess probably would have arrived late the night before. But we finally got to wear clean clothes and got our scuba gear just in time for the scuba trip, the scuba diving that we're doing. And I guess I had gone ahead because I don't know, I'm sometimes a more prepared traveler than my wife. And so I had some of the essentials. I think I had one or two extra t-shirts. So I had a cycle that I was going through of semi-clean clothes. And I definitely had clean underwear and socks for multiple days in my backpack. So it kind of worked out for me. Uh, didn't quite work out for my wife. Although it did work out because we were in Greece. So it's not like we were really going anywhere. We spent most of the days on the beach anyways, at least at that part of the trip. Oh yeah, sorry. We did miss our flight. We had to book another one, and even that one we barely got onto because they had to hold the gates. Ah, fair enough. So both of us had clean underwear and socks, just no extra shirt. All right, fair enough. Anyways, I'm long overdue, so let's get in the third and final sprint, and I will see you on the other side. Hopefully, I can finish up with this chapter. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And I am done. So I did, let me see here, 3 chapters, I believe, maybe 4. 16, 17, 18, 19. I did 4 chapters tonight. So way to go, me. Yeah, I am right in the middle of the emotional beat of the story. But it's dinner time. I'm very hungry. I will see you all next Monday night. Have a wonderful Monday. I hope you all had a wonderful Monday night, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week. Take care and see ya.